So, where do we as people of faith turn when our lives have been turned upside down, where our sense of what is known and trustworthy has been disturbed? Many of us turn to our sacred scriptures, and in Jewish and Christian traditions, the Psalms are part of those sacred scriptures. These songs, many of which started as family songs, family rituals to be shared, and became known as these household places, and then were accumulated into this rich text called the Book of Psalms, have been with us for millennia. They truly reflect every state of being that we can have emotionally and spiritually, and all our struggles. And so we turn often to Psalm 23. The 23rd Psalm, you might know it in a number of different translations or in the original Hebrew. You may know or translate the name of the Holy One in different ways than I do. But it begins with, "The Holy is my shepherd, I shall not want. They make me to lie down in green pastures. They lead me beside still waters. They restore my soul. They lead me in paths of righteousness for their name's sake." Pause here, where the poem shifts. "Even though I travel through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff are with me." At this point, we've turned and shifted, talking about, who's the Holy One? And now directly appealing to the Holy One. "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies," in the presence of all our troubles and strife. "You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely, surely, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of my beloved, in the house of my refuge, in the house of the name unnamed forever." Part of the reason why this prayer keeps coming back over and over again is it meets lots of our needs. It gives us a sense of belonging to something bigger than ourselves. It reminds us not only who we are, but whose we are, and gives us a sense of care in the middle of all this trial and turmoil. The person who is beginning this prayer is not beginning it from a happy place. They are possibly traveling through the valley of the shadow of death or the shadow of evil. They are dealing with enemies and turmoil and strife and struggle, and their world's being turned upside down. And so when our worlds are turned upside down, when we are dealing with struggle and strife, when our enemy is fear and anxiety and anger and not having the resources we need to fight a pandemic, then too we need to turn for our own peace and our well-being, to be able to maintain well-being, to something spiritual and connected. It's about nurturing our relationship with a sense of hope and with what is good enough. Sometimes we tend to towards perfection in this dominant culture, and it's not good enough unless it's all of it. It's not good enough if there's anything wrong. The fact is, there's almost always something wrong, many things wrong. We might have all kinds of reasons to worry. If we have enough relationships, we're going to be worried. We might be worried about climate change. We might be worried about a pandemic. We might be worried about a beloved relative who's sick. We might be worried for ourselves. We might be worried about a government. We might be worried about a place. We might be worried for our neighbors. There are all kinds of worries. So I recommend setting a timer and taking those worries to prayer or meditation. Both are excellent. If you can light a candle, if you can't light a candle, then imagine a candle in front of you, or place a little bowl of water if you have a little extra water that you can place in front of you, so that you have something beautiful to look upon and to feel. Because when we cast our troubles out onto those waters and we notice that they still, that we have the power to come back and relax ourselves and be cradled in this breath that we have, and reassure ourselves of these relationships that we have with the holy, with this planet, with even one another, then our cup begins to fill again. And it might even overflow. And we might find, even amidst all this trouble and strife and imperfection, overflowing mercy. All those people who are responding to the crisis, overflowing goodness, with all the compassion that is flowing forth from people and generosity these days, overflowing healing. As we turn away from the distractions that have separated us, and even in the middle of social isolation, turn back towards each other, connecting more deeply and more fully. You might have other favorite Psalms. I'll be revisiting some of these in the next few weeks via video. But I thought we should begin with the 23rd Psalm, the best known, the one that is recited at many funerals and at many sick bedsides, and that you're going to hear, unfortunately, if you're in and traveling to hospitals these days, echoing down the halls. For even though we travel through the valley of the shadow of death, we fear no evil. For you are with me. You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Let's remember, too, that our relationship with the holy is incomplete when we're not tending to our relationship with one another. For we are called to love the one and to love one another as we would love ourselves and that one. So may you have peace and rest and hope, even in the middle of all of the world being turned upside down right now. That we can come through different, changed, with much loss, and yet also aware of all that goodness, all that compassion, all that mercy that is flowing forth to answer these trials. I wish you peace and well-being in your day.